By the end of Benji's time playing with Matzo and Amplify, he had to become the tarper and the IGL of the trio, and it's definitely not a role that he's very accustomed to playing. And so we'll see there were many examples of where Benji in this role wasn't incredibly successful. And so even though we don't know if this is going to be something that he has to do much moving forward with the teams he plays in, it's definitely going to be something that he needs to learn how to do in case he's put in this scenario again. And so we're going to take a look at some examples of where Benji lacked focus, lacked an understanding of the priorities that you need as a tarper and then as an IGL. And we can take what you can from them and learn for yourself, as well as Benji learning. So you'll see here an example, Benji cheap tarping, right? This is the right time to cheap tarp, you know, spend as little as possible. There are not necessarily going to be many elimination opportunities, but this is where Benji's natural, you know, sort of intuition as a fragger starts to kick in, and it affects him as a tarper. You can see here, he instantly turns around and he's looking at height, right? This is what Benji does best. He looks at height, finds an opportunity to get a beam off, but things don't necessarily go well. You don't want your tarper doing this, and this is why you can see instantly here, cut off by Mohamed SR4. And even though things look fine, you can see, takes a shot from the back because he doesn't realize if there's one person in front of me, his teammates are going to be following up soon. And so he's very lucky not to die here, down to 8 HP. He eventually goes down. His teammates are going to sort of give him the space to be able to heal up, but at this stage it's already done, and in a couple seconds he's actually going to go down anyway, and that's right there is not what you want from your tarper. So we're going to take a look at things in a bit more detail and a bit slower. I've turned off nameplates so things aren't as clustered. You can sort of get an idea of what's going on. This right here, that's Benji's team, right? And you can see Benji's tarping, cheap tarping, like we talked about. The issue is though, is that there's another team on this layer that he's not aware of. You can see this is Mohamed SR4's team. They are also on this layer, and they are aware that there's a team on this layer. So what happens is, we're going to see, right, Benji turns around to look up for height, look to see if he can get a tag. But Mohamed SR4's team is more alert, and they realize this team stopped tarping, let's cut them off. And so the cutoff happens here, and this is where Benji gets tagged up really low. He doesn't realize there's another player on his level, and he gets put to incredibly low HP. And this is what you want from your tarper. What Mohamed SR4 did is realizing that team was slow and diagonally tarping to cut them off. Benji was too slow. He didn't have that awareness, didn't even realize there was another team on the layer. And that's where you need to be alert as a tarper, figuring out who's on your layer, how can we cut them off, how can we keep priority of the front side of zone. So here we're going to actually see another example of that sort of lack of concentration and the lack of understanding that I was referring to earlier. You'll see here, first movement's about to kick off, and these guys are not looking too good, right? You can see here, Benji, lower materials, 42 builds left available to him. Same thing can be said here about Matzo. Matzo, 16 builds, not looking too good either. And then if you look at Amplify, exact same thing to be said about Amplify. 12 builds there, I covered it up, but 12 builds, not looking too good. And on top of having a lack of builds, they are actually down below Surge as well. And so what they're going to do here next is a good thing. It's a positive. They understand that the best opportunity for eliminations a lot of the time during moving zones is to look above, right? It's to look either above or below. The problem is here, if we watch Benji's POV, is that the team that they look above for is a very good team, a very aware team, and that team is Tayson, Nate, and Forziar. So you can see they're going to look to try to drop these players down. The big thing here is that Tayson, Nate, and Forziar understand this, and so they will just build cones here. They will build cones here, and they will not allow themselves to be dropped down and allow for an elimination opportunity. You can see here, Forziar coming in with the cones. And so, you know, this is a lost cause. This is a point in which, you know, Benji's trio, they need to understand, okay, these guys are just going to build. We're not going to be able to drop them down. And Benji does good. Benji does good to acknowledge that. He realizes, okay, I got to focus on tarping. The big problem is where he does choose to tarp. You can see here, he's come out to the right, and this isn't necessarily where you want to be. If we take a look from this sort of bird's eye view, the zone is moving this way. Benji chooses to use the small amount of materials they have to tarp out this way. And so even though they are actually able to find an elimination out of this opportunity, it wasn't the best use of their resources, because the elimination they get onto Diablo here, Diablo, he shambles. The reason why Diablo is standing around in the backside of the zone is because he has no mats, right? And so they're actually going to use the harpoon to get his siphon mats. By this stage, it's a bit too late, because now they've fallen behind the rest of the lobby. The lobby is going to be at the front side of the zone. They're on the back side. They have low materials. And then at this point, they just become lobby fodder. This right here is an example from Tayson, Forziar, and Nate from the FNCS finals. And this isn't necessarily to do with how good Tayson is as a tarper, but more so just the communication and the attitude. So we'll take a look. I'll pause it here so you guys can hear this, right? Listen to what Tayson says here to Forzier and Nate.
Play together, boys. You guys play together. I'm starting.
Yeah, dead.
You guys play together, I'm tarping, right? That attitude of you guys get the job done in the back of the tarp. I will focus on getting us, you know, forward. You guys get the eliminations. Bring me the mats. I'm gonna tarp, right? That level of trust that his teammates will get the job done and he can just focus on tarping, right? Whereas we saw with Benji, you know, he didn't necessarily have that level of trust with Mats on Amplify. At times, he would just sort of stop focusing on tarping just to try and look for eliminations, right? That's what you can't have in a tarper. You need your tarper to trust your teammates to be able to get the job done. In terms of who Benji could learn from to improve as a tarper, I think the no-brainer would obviously be Seti. Seti's already considered one of the best tarpers, if not the best tarper in all of Fortnite, and definitely someone that Benji could look to improve his layering, his understanding of priorities, you know, just how to cut people off, etc. The Seti has shown that he can do this at the highest level on countless occasions. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe as it's greatly appreciated. Let me know how you feel about it in the comment section down below. See you guys all soon.